It's all just a theory. A game theory! Thanks for watching.
I think I know what my next video will be.
You suck at spelling.
I don't have any arms. What do you expect?
Hello everyone, it is your average goofball here, and today we will be discussing Dandy's World once more. Except not how to play the game. I mean the lore. What is the story of Dandy's World? Before we begin, I just want to say thank you for all the views last video. Despite this being a new channel, the video got to 100 views at the time of this recording. I thank you everyone for all the likes and subs I gained from last video too. Anyway, let's get into the lore of Dandy's World. I think it's safe to assume that Dandy's World started out as a cartoon in the 1980s based on posters and notes that you can find throughout the 5 maps. It also seems that Dandy's World, the cartoon, was made by 2 people named Arthur Walton and Delilah Keene. However, some people speculate that there was no cartoon, and Delilah created living toons to act in a real-life series. I think otherwise due to the fact that there are many televisions, and on the televisions are animated videos of the characters doing stuff. Another piece of evidence I have is that you can find drawing boards used to animate things. My theory is that, after the success of the cartoon, Delilah discovered ichor, which, by the way, ichor means the fluid that flows like blood in the veins of the gods, and she used ichor to create a real-life Dandy. Now, what are the Twisteds? And how did they become twisted? My theory is that Delilah made ichor versions of all the toons in the cartoon, bringing them to life. Arthur and Delilah brought God in view where the real-life toons lived. Dandy one day discovered ichor and started experimenting with it, making him go insane. I suspect that Twisteds are the result of the other toons being overcome by ichor. In fact, I don't need to speculate about this, as once you get 50% research on any Twisted, their description usually starts with overcome by ichor. So, with these new conclusions, I think that Dandy became so obsessed with ichor that he started persuading the other toons to find ichor and extract it for him. More proof that he did this is the fact that Twisted Shrimpo has ichor all over his face, and Shrimpo's extracting animation is him banging his head against the machine, thus implying that Twisteds are toons that had an accident while extracting, all except Pebbles. I believe that Dandy was first experimenting with Pebbles, then accidentally turned him into a monster. He wanted to further experiment with that fact and started purposefully sabotaging machines. I believe this because of the fact that all other Twisteds are dripping and leaking with ichor, while Dandy and Pebbles' twisted form have no sign of dripping ichor, just black body parts. But for V, I think it would be more plausible that she didn't follow Dandy's orders because of V and Sprout's interactions. I think Dandy made V twisted by himself, and now with the help of machines. Perhaps Dandy ordered the toons he already turned into Twisteds to attack V. Another thing to mention is that Astro probably knew all along what Dandy was doing, but didn't tell anyone because he was scared Dandy might come for him next. Now, why do I think Dandy is the one behind all of this? Simple. When you get 50% research on Twisted Dandy, his twisted description says the following: the star of the show, the one who runs the ichor operation. It's all his fault. The ichor operation is probably Dandy making the other toons extract for him. Thus, it is all his fault that Godon View shut down. It is also mentioned that Delilah knew that Dandy was doing all these things, but assured to everyone that what he was doing was safe. Now we are in the present. What are we, the player that goes into the elevator, doing? It seems that when you buy a new toon with ichor, you give Dandy the ichor, and he used it to create a vessel, a body for you to inhabit, so you have an easier time escaping the Twisteds that he made. He is purposefully risking our lives just to get his hands on ichor for him to experiment, which would also explain why that when you die, you explode into a puddle of eye. As for Arthur and Delilah, I have no idea where they went. There is not enough evidence in the game to show where Arthur and Delilah went or did after the closing of God in View. If you have a theory for where they went, please leave your idea in the comment section below. Anyway, it's time for the conclusion. What is the story so far of Dandy's World? Arthur and Delilah create a cartoon in the 1980s under the name Dandy's World. The show gets insanely popular, so they buy God in View an education center based on cast of Dandy's world. But one day, Delilah discovers ichor, a liquid that allows her to create life. She creates the whole cast of Dandy's world, so Dandy's world wasn't just some cartoon anymore. It was real. Dandy soon discovers ichor too. He starts experimenting with it and slowly descends into madness. He starts experimenting with his pet rock, Pebbles, and turns him into a monster after discovering that too much ichor turns the toon into a monster. A twisted, you can say. He starts manipulating the other toons to do his dirty work by extracting ichor for him. But Dandy wanted to experiment more with twisteds, so he sabotages the machine so they would break and have the ichor spill all over the extractor. Astro sees Dandy doing this, but says nothing as he is afraid that Dandy would start targeting him for snitching. V starts to notice Astro's behavior and doesn't trust Dandy. She doesn't do any machines, which would be a big mistake. Dandy starts targeting V by making the toons he turned twisted go after her. They catch up and turn V into one of them. Due to the disappearances of all the toons, Golden View shuts down, and Arthur and Delilah go somewhere unknown. We discover the abandoned Golden View, and Dandy starts manipulating us to do his dirty work by extracting ichor. We give him ichor for him to create a vessel for us, a body with better stamina, speed, and health than our base form, so we keep on extracting for him over and over. He sells us items to keep us alive at the cost of tapes. The tapes are so he doesn't fully descend into madness. The tapes remind him of his past, why he is doing all this, and the fact that he's the star. And when we don't give him the tapes that keep him sane, he comes out as a twisted with one goal: to end us as we are not doing what we are meant to do. He keeps doing this over and over, continuing his research while staying sane with the tapes that we give him. He keeps us forever, making us repeat what he wants us to do over and over and over again. It is all his fault.